So validations. So we have seen the validation in JavaScript actually. Okay, JavaScript validations, and we have done them using regular expressions. Now here jQuery validations. Okay, jQuery validations are the same actually, except that someone else has written those regular expressions, and we just use the methods. Okay, we need not write these regular expressions again because someone else has already written these regular expressions. Like for instance, if you want to check for say required, so for required the string should not be blank. So when it's blank, that means it was an error saying, hey, this field is required. Now for email, we have to write a long regular expression to validate whether it's a valid email or not. So somebody else has, I mean, not somebody, the jQuery, the guys behind the jQuery, they have write they have written these regular expressions over there. So if you want to check for a mobile number, let's say, so there's a regular expression for mobile number and it's already written out there. So all we gotta do is like, okay, apply this particular regular expression, okay, on this particular field. That's what jQuery validations is. Okay, so again, why jQuery? The reason is just write less and do more. So that's the only reason. So we need not try very hard to do these validations. It's pretty easy over there. So now why validations in the first case? I've already discussed this in the JavaScript validations class, wherein the reason for validations is like sometimes people submit wrong data just to say they want sometimes just to do XSS. This is called, this is an attack. Okay, we'll be discussing more about security in the coming classes. Okay, and sometimes they may also do this for session hijacking. I'll show how to do this stuff too. And they may sometimes do SQL injection. So these are all we have discussed. Actually, we have only discussed about the terms. We did not discuss about them in detail. Okay, so people submit wrong data, and sometimes people just love to submit wrong data. They just want to fill your database. So these you see these bots, that's the reason people use captcha, because what bots do is they just keep on filling the forms. Like a bot can fill a form in 30 seconds and it starts filling your database and it wastes your resource. So that's where validations are needed. So the type of validations, like always check for required. So sometimes we need some fields which are really required. For instance, for Tutoslive, the email is really essential. The first name, last name, and email are really essential. So I don't I don't if I leave it them like that, people won't submit it. So the purpose is like beaten out there. Yeah, so check for required. And does he submit a real email? Let's say, when I say real email, like at least we can really check. Some people in Tutoslive submit like abc@def.com. So that's not a real email. There is no abc@def.com. But at least we have to check for, sometimes people mistakenly put something 1 2 3 4 5 6. Oh well, I'm talking about just validations, not server side, client side. So you're talking about client side, more of client side validations. But I'll tell you, whatever it is, client side validations are always, it's not, I say it's not suggested to do client side validation. Instead, go for server side validations, no matter whatever it is, because the trend in internet of now is like there are more attackers than users. So I suggest, like people may just bypass that validations on server on client side. That can be done actually. So if you just remove your jQuery script from there and just submit the form, it can be done. Yeah, that's what. just remove JS, like remove JS from the using Firebug and just say submit the form, it gets submitted. So I always recommend people to do server-side scripting at least to the fields which are really essential. Like I do it for email. Email is the most important thing for me because that's what I do for. Uh, and forget about the first name, last name. I don't care about first name, last name is, but for email, I'll definitely recommend a server-side validation on that. All right. So does he submit a real email? Does he submit the actual mobile number? When I say again actual means at least the format. Okay, so these validations can only do the format validations, not like, okay, is this mobile number real or not. It cannot really test that. It cannot really test that if this email real or not. It only can test the format of email. So when I say validation, it means only the format. Okay, it don't test the format, that's it. It cannot do much more than that. For instance, let's say I say password to be like minimum 8 characters, so that's where the validations come in. So it checks for whether, yesterday we have seen an example regarding the password strength, the good password, the bad password, and the great password, so like such. Okay, so that is validation. And as ding dong talked about, the client side validations and server side validations. So we are talking about client side validations as of now. Client side validations again, it's as I said, it's a faster way to validate the data, but it can be bypassed. Okay, server side validations, we'll talk about that in PHP. Whatever we do in JavaScript can also be done in PHP, but again, server side validations are real costly. When I say costly, it takes the performance order. Okay, it eats up the resources. So that's the reason people say, okay, do not validate much of data on server side, only just validate what is really important for you, and rest of the things, I mean, do them on the client side, just to contain, like, if you are an expert, let's say if you're a JavaScript expert, not just expert, if you know JavaScript, and if you know about a little bit of Firebug and stuff, you can always bypass it, you can always hack something. So considering the number of people who knows JavaScript and Firebug, so there are very less people of that type visiting your website. I say, if your website is popular, yeah, there may be more people who are coming to your website who knows JavaScript and Firebug, and then they can attack. But in the initial stage, like for my case, you know the people who come here, they want to learn it. Maybe my competitors may come here, but still, I the validations are server side for Tutoslive actually. Okay, so yeah, that is it. Now I'm gonna share my screen here, so I'll show you guys how the entire process of these validations. Okay, so let me just, so yeah. So you guys clear on what I've said? Why do we really need validations? We need, you guys clear on that? Great. I hope you guys can see my screen here. Yes, you guys can see my screen, right? Great. So let's just write a form first, and then let's start doing the validations. Okay, so I'll explain you guys how to style a form and do stuff. So let's start from scratch. I already have a form which I've built, so that's what is. So that's the reason I asked